So as you might imagine, I planned on sharing this in person. But I think Murphy ganged up with work, ganged up with personal stuff, ganged up with logistics, and it all just became kind of impossible for that to happen. So I hope this video is sufficient. I'm sure that you've all figured out that WOPR20 is a pretty big deal, at least to some of us. For me, it's that the peer workshop longevity record isn't so much the big deal. For me, it's a time of reflection about what WOPR, where WOPR started and where it's gone. 11 years ago, some guy I never heard of sent me some email about would I read and comment on his vision for a peer workshop about performance and reliability. I didn't know what a peer workshop was, and frankly, the only reason I said yes, that I'd review it, is because I was curious. I had no idea what he was talking about. And when I think that since then, since that moment, WOPR vets and the ideas that have come out of WOPR are responsible for 4 enterprise class load generators, 2 of which brand new companies, that WOPR vets have contributed at least 75% of the useful vendor agnostic educational type content for performance testers in the market, books, blogs, articles, conference talks, useful forum posts, that sort of thing. It's overwhelming. And WOPR vets have developed or delivered almost all of the performance testing courses that live past 1. Right? It's amazing. And how do I know that? I know that because as I travel around the world consulting, speaking at conferences and whatever, the number one thing that performance folk want to talk to me about is WOPR. Not tools, not modeling, not analysis, not reporting, WOPR. And that just blows me away, because there's only been about 200 people at this point that have attended a WOPR. You know what's funny about that, though? So if you go back to that original doc that Ross sent me to review, this is nothing. That doc, it had business plans, it had financial models, it had implementation plans, it had marketing plans, it talked about standardization programs, certification, all that stuff. Hey, we haven't even scratched the surface of that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not depressed, neither's Ross, because WOPR did something even better. WOPR did something better. WOPR didn't take that vision document as a checklist. What it did was take on a life of its own. It's just, it's amazing is what it is. So, I'm just glad that even though, as I got to know Ross, as I reviewed that document, and we talked about it, I started thinking how WOPR could turn out one day to be the capstone of his professional legacy. And then, as I'm realizing that, he invites me to co-found it with him. And I was just shocked. I was honored. And frankly, I'm just glad that I said yes, because it has been a fabulous ride, and there's been, like I said, far exceeded expectations. But when I say WOPR took on a life of its own, defined its own path, that's just rare for a volunteer nonprofit organization. And the reality is that the WOPR vets have picked up the ball and carried WOPR. And now it just happens. WOPR doesn't wait around for guidance and vision from Ross or I. WOPR just goes. And it's not many volunteers, nonprofit orgs that ever reach that point. And what's most notable about this is, I've been involved in a lot of volunteer nonprofit orgs throughout my life since I was a kid. And even as a kid, I noticed that once an org took on a life of its own, became kind of self-sustaining, the easiest way to kill it was when that originator, founder, visionary, whatever, comes back and tries to get overly involved again. That never, ever goes well. Just like it doesn't go well if you're parenting. I've got a teenager. Look, he's a teenager. He's got to make his own decisions. He's got to make his own mistakes. He's got to grow up and be his own person. He can't just do what daddy says. Well, for the last 5 years, I've realized that I've kind of been treating WOPR like a teenager, right? I'm not gone, but I haven't been injecting myself. And WOPR grew up. WOPR doesn't need guidance and vision, direction from Ross or I anymore. So for me, it's hard as it is for me to say this. WOPR20 represents something else to me. It represents a kind of a changing of the guard from the founders to the organizers. So I guess I'm kind of saying that you shouldn't expect to find me, hanging around WOPRs in the future. Kind of like you wouldn't expect to find your parents hanging around in your dorm room at college, right? At least I hope you wouldn't expect that. But, WOPR's got a special place in my heart. And if, WOPR participants or vets or WOPRs in the future reach out to me, I will always be there with anything I can offer. But I'm not going to show up, just show up uninvited. It's important for WOPR to take this life that it's defined for itself and be its own thing. So, with that, I do hope that WOPR will accept this challenge from one of its co-founders. It's a very simple challenge. Continue bringing and sharing your experiences. Continue learning from them. And continue to share the lessons that you learn with others throughout the industry and throughout the world. Because no matter what else you may do or may not do, if WOPR does that, in my mind, WOPR is still true to its founding vision. Maybe not everything in the vision doc, but true to the founding vision. Now, before I let you guys all get back to your experience reports, I don't want to keep you too long, but there is something that I've wanted to do for some time, and I just haven't had the opportunity. So if you'll bear with me for a moment, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to Ross. To thank him for inviting me to co-found this with him. Because WOPR has turned out to be far more than just the WOPR experience and the events and the people and the community and the lessons and the professional opportunities. I mean, all that's fantastic. But part of what WOPR became to me, just the moment that Ross invited me, it became that little spark that I needed to realize that I didn't have to spend the rest of my life in a cubicle, questioning how many more days I can go against my ethics to do the bidding of a greedy account manager who didn't understand what performance was, let alone how to sell or market my services. And it made me realize that I really did have what it took to at least give it a shot to go out on my own. And you know what? Being out on my own hasn't always been perfect. But I don't come home from work every day anymore and feel like I need to hide in the garage with a bottle of rum until I can relax enough, stop feeling dirty before I go in the house to see my family. And I mean, that might seem like a stretch to you guys, but whether it is or not, that's what's true to me. What's true to me is that it's because of Ross that I was able to create a career that I enjoy, that I think I'm pretty good at, that I think I manage to add value to people. But even if I'm just mediocre, just barely good enough to keep my mortgage paid, the fact that I can do it without coming home every day and asking myself whether I'm going to have any ethics left at the end of my career is a really big deal to me. And as far as I'm concerned, I have Ross to thank for that. So Ross, seriously, thank you with all my heart. All right, enough of this sappy stuff. You guys get back to your experience reports, and I'm going to get back to this conference that I'm not at because I'm recording this.